Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join us alongside Emilio in Tennessee. Jacob will be back in a minute. Let me tell you, he's fit to be tied tonight. He's mad. So we got a lot of stuff to dive into here. We're going to cover the offensive updates from training camp day 3. We're really excited to get into all that. We'll hit the defense. We'll hit the updates on the injuries. And we've also got a nice little piece on Isaiah Simmons, who seems to be turning heads in Packers training camp a bit as well. So before we do all that, need y'all to do that YouTube stuff for us. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. We appreciate you making us a part of your evening. Listen, we're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. What we are fans just like you in here talking Packers on the daily. You'll also get a bunch of extra content throughout the year. We're going to be doing live streams for pregame shows, postgame shows. We'll be doing film breakdown, the whole 9 yards. So make sure you're subbed and click that bell notification so you don't miss out every time we go live. Jacob, let's do a quick test, man. How we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, that's pretty solid right there. That's squeaky clean.
That's clean.
We got Emilio back in the great state of Tennessee now, I imagine. I'm guessing you didn't pack all that stuff up.
No, that'd be a challenge. But yeah, no, a little bit of airline trouble. You know how it goes, delayed a few hours each time. And besides that, glad to be back. Excited to see everybody. Trying to catch up on some pods today.
I think I've slept more in airports than I have my own bed, to be honest with you, man. I'm telling you right now. And don't get me started on Atlanta. Nobody wants to hear that.
Somebody backed the luggage cart into the loading door, so we had to wait for maintenance to fix it while we were on the plane. It took like an hour and a half, so no worries.
Oh, my God. All right, let's get this party cranked up with a super chat from Josh Martin. Appreciate you, Josh. He says, how's Bo Melton doing at the cornerback position? I haven't heard a whole lot about it, Josh, other than he's playing corner. The only news I've really heard, and I'll allow you guys to answer that same question, is it sounds like they see him predominantly as a corner now. I think Matt LaFleur kind of made that pretty obvious, and obviously they changed his number to number 16. Not that really matters all that much, but the way I took Matt LaFleur's wording and his communications in the press conference a couple of days ago was Bo Melton's a corner now. So not sure how you guys feel about it. Jacob, Emilio, y'all got anything to add to that?
I mean, I think that's fair to say. We talked about yesterday how it's a little dubious that he's sharing a number, I believe, with Clifford, so that doesn't quite bode well for him. But I really do think that the best way he's going to make this team is probably at that cornerback position. We've talked about how he's also really good as a gunner, probably our best gunner, special teams guy. And I think he's at that point in his career where he's not too proud to maybe make – I wouldn't call it a step back. I would call it a lateral move, trying to save his NFL career in any way he can. Obviously, his brother Max, I believe, he plays corner, so it's not like it's too that far out of the realm of possibility that he could possibly take that step. And I think that's probably the lowest area of confidence that the team has right now is that cornerback room, maybe the linebacker room as well. But there's definitely a chance that he could sneak in there as a 4 or 5.
Yeah, Ron Sample says Bo looks pretty natural as a corner. Let's see here. Our boy 2-0 for this says Bo looks smoother at corner to me than wide receiver. I agree with that based off of the little bit of, obviously we haven't seen game speed yet, but Joseph in the chat said it was the only way he was going to make the roster. I think there's probably quite a bit of truth to that as well.
The way Matt kind of said it, Clay, in his presser there was, we already know what we have with him at wide receiver. Let's see what we can do at corner just because we already know what he is at special teams. So he's helpful to this team. If we could have him be, 60% more helpful rather than like 30% as a wide receiver, absolutely. Let's put him over there and let's get those reps.
Definitely. All right, let's jump into the injury report and kind of injury updates from camp today, and then we'll get into the offensive side of the ball and everything we learned.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Coach Wes Heikowitz put a tweet out, Packers camp number 3, not practicing. Guard Aaron Banks, who's got a back, all right, and I think they confirmed later he's day-to-day. So it's not like a a huge concern. It's just a precautionary type thing. Wide receiver Savion Williams, you guys know he missed practice yesterday and nobody knew why. Well, we finally got that information. He actually had a concussion. Okay, so Savion Williams concussion there. I'm not overly concerned about that, to be honest with you. I was really worried the way Matt answered the question was like he answered the question by not answering the question essentially. And I was going, oh, no, what is this? So linebacker Quay Walker with an ankle not practicing, although we'll show you some footage here in a second that Tim got right there from practice, boots on the ground earlier today, him doing a little bit of rehab. Wide receiver Christian Watson, the knee. Defensive end Colin Oliver, it's a hamstring for Colin Oliver, okay? So that's what that is a hammy. And then running back Amar Johnson, same thing, got a hamstring. Offensive lineman John Williams and Elton Jenkins, back injuries as well. So you've got 3 offensive linemen with sore backs right now. And I know some people believe that Elton Jenkins, that's just he's not really hurt. I don't know, man. The way Goody talked about it, they're expecting him to play on the contract he's got. I think he may have tweaked something there, to be honest with you. So what do y'all think about those injuries? Are we overly concerned? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm right here with Blake B. Mountain Man. We got Morgan, Escalade, and Glover. We are good. Early tweaks to the backs. Obviously, it's going to happen. You're just getting into training camp, everything like that. So I think that you're going to have those. The way Goody was talking about John Williams, that one's going to be a little bit longer. I almost the way he kind of was saying it when it got brought up with Christian is that I would almost feel that he's pushing to be on IR, maybe when they start or pup or something like that, just so that they can get him through. Mm-hmm. And Elton, heal up. Obviously, we need him for the regular season. Not too worried about it. Aaron Banks still early, so
Joseph in the chat says if it was the playoffs, they'd all be playing, maybe minus Watson. I agree with that. I think that's a great point, Joseph. All precautionary here. And Emilio, I don't think it's any coincidence. I'm pretty sure you're helping run Matt Schneidman's Twitter account. As soon as you get back into town and get internet. Matt Schneidman tweeted out, LaFleur says Aaron Banks is day-to-day with a back injury. That's why Travis Glover took reps at starting left guard in multiple team periods yesterday. So, Jacob, what do you think about that injury list, man? Anything there concern you? Or the one that sticks out to me, Jacob, I want to get your take because I'm sure you probably thought of the same thing. When I see Colin Oliver hamstring, I immediately think Clay Matthews hamstring because it was just always bothering Clay in training camp. What do you think about that injury list? Anything there concerning you?
Obviously, I'd like to have all these guys healthy. The Colin Oliver thing with the hamstring, I was worried it was something a little more serious with him, so I'm a little bit actually relieved that it is something like a hamstring because, give it a little bit of time. The Savion Williams one does concern me a little bit. I think if you're referencing the press conference LaFleur did, I actually wrote it down because they asked the injury about Savion Williams, and he kind of smiled and asked, and I think he said something like, ask Wohlers, whatever that meant. I didn't know what he meant by that, if that was a coach or if that's
probably the trainer, I would imagine. Yeah. Probably
the trainer. And so I was just like you, I was kind of confused by that answer and the non-answer, really. And I guess I'll mirror what Mountain Man Pack says. He says, Banks worries me a lot already being hurt. That is a little suspect, especially anytime you hear back injury and then you look and you see that 3 offensive linemen have back issues. Yeah. I don't like that. Like you that, Jan.
Hey, dude, the back stuff, Emilio will tell you, it was last Monday, and everybody's going to go, oh, come on, Clay, you draw a parallel here. I was weed-eating the bank, and let me tell you, boys, when you see a back injury, if you've ever had a back injury, I've got 2 ruptured – I ruptured 2 discs about 13 years ago, and it still bothers me to this day. Got vertebrae sitting in there sideways, right? Tweaked it this past Monday. Humbling experience, man. It's a humbling experience. So, Jacob, I know what you're saying. The thought of having to play with the physicality you do as an offensive lineman and anchor your feet, anchor your back, anchor your hips, kind of, you know what I'm saying? God, it literally makes my skin crawl thinking of the pain if you have any kind of back trouble. So, little bit concerning there for me too, Jacob. I understand that. So Quay Walker, I feel real good about where Quay's at. The fact that they've already got him out there and trying to get him back in the routine is Tim caught this footage earlier today. Just him over there off to the side, a little bit of rehabbing, right? A little bit of just kind of going through the motions and getting ready, that type of thing. So he was out there, had the helmet on, ready to go. It's just
get ready to go
out there. So, and again, with Quay, it's the ankle. You had the cleanup. I think we're going to get the best version of Quay Walker this year, Jacob, because it sounds to me like he's been playing on a bum ankle for the last year and a half, to be honest with you. They finally got in there and cleaned that up.
Yeah. I always kind of get confused by that terminology, the cleaning it up kind of thing. It's just a little weird there. But I expect a lot out of Quay Walker this year, and I think that this is definitely his time. We've talked about how with him lined up next to Cooper, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amelia, that only happened one game last year. So I'm excited to see what can actually happen with that linebacker room. One start.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that it's going to be exciting to see him when they're both out there full time, see what's going on. We're not going to get that obviously until week 1, but just seeing him back out there from that injury, ankles, anything lower with your feet, you're pushing off. It's I'm glad to see him out there. Tim, obviously the eye in the sky over there crushing it.
Yeah. Coach Lynn, Quay looking huge here. Dude, the thought of Quay and our boy Edgerrin Cooper on the field at the same time, especially with Edgerrin Cooper packing 240 pounds out there with him this year. As Bungie Chedarbug says, with Quay and Cooper getting on the field together, this should be fun, especially with Cooper running with the edge groups. Man, was he effective last year when we blitzed with him? And I'm a very boring defensive mind. Me personally, I want 7 in coverage at all times. I want to keep everything in front of you, kind of bend but don't break, and I know that drives fans crazy. It's really what you saw last year, man. You've seen some simulated pressures, which simply means you're showing a blitz and you're still dropping 7 into coverage. And I'm telling you, that's the way to go in the NFL. Limit those explosive plays, which triples an offense's chances of scoring on that current drive. I think that's the way to go. But when you see Edgerrin Cooper in that highlight, not only coming through, pretty much scot-free on Matthew Stafford there against the Rams last year, but the way that Stafford tried to spin out of that, and he still had the ability to change directions and bring him down. Then, of course, you've seen the blitz where they were running a little bit of a stunt, and he was supposed to occupy a double team. But just so happens he fights through the double team and gets sacked. You know what I mean? He's a demon out there. I'm really excited.
And isn't he
thick?
Yes.
This year? I mean, didn't he get 20 pounds on him? So I'm excited to see what he can do down inside. Those scrapes and everything. We saw some of that at Tennessee. So keep adding it to the repertoire.
Definitely 240 plus pounds now, man. Coach Lynn says ankle looks good to me. I agree, Coach. I think Quay's looking healthy there. So anything else on the injury front I missed, Jacob? Anything you might have seen heard earlier today? Anything at all?
Nope, nothing more.
All right, good deal, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for fighting through the delay too, man. I know you're aggravated, but yeah, you're coming through clear. We're just a little delayed. I appreciate you, man. All right, offensive line. All right, let's get into it. Matt Schneidman tweeted out, first offensive line today with no Elton Jenkins or Aaron Banks. So from left to right, we got Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, Sean Ryan. This surprised me. Jacob Monk at right guard, and then Zach Tom. That I kind of like that they're trying Jacob Monk a little more often at different positions other than just backup center. Who knows, man? You may look up and he'd be a better guard than a center. That could be the case. But Sean Ryan, man, starting to gain a little bit more respect for him. If you guys didn't read the tweets and the coverage from Rob Demovsky on how he missed out on that $2 million bonus last year, I think it was $2 million on the escalator bonus. He missed it by just a handful of snaps. And he's just putting his head down and working, man. And the fact that, Jordan Morgan couldn't run away with the right guard spot last year because Sean Ryan was playing, just as good as Jordan Morgan when he was healthy. And now he's pretty much become our backup center, it sounds like. I don't know how you feel about that, Emilio, but if Sean Ryan proves to be a serviceable center, boy, oh boy, the value there is unbelievable.
Yeah, because he can play all 3 positions in the middle there. So I think that his ability to be versatile is what got him to this point. Him being willing to try anything for the team has got him there. Obviously, we've covered before, didn't start off great for him for his career, but he's turned it around. He's put his head down and he got to work. When Matt said he was a little thick, right? Clean that up, and just everything he's done to get to this point is huge. So yeah, let's give him first team reps as center without Elton there, and let's make sure that in a pinch he can go in. How many times did we need to pull a backup center this past year into the game? So I think that it's very important, and I'm glad that they are also now kind of maybe giving that Sean Ryan opportunity to Monk, and let's move him around too and see what else he can do.
Go ahead, Jacob. Your take on the offensive line here, man.
Yeah, I believe I saw that it was Coach. He said that Ryan missed it by 2 holding calls, and he also had a comment talking about how there was no Belton on this lineup, which is a little interesting to him. I'm just happy that I see Jordan Morgan cracking into this thing, and it is nice to see Jacob Monk getting played at different positions. Like Amelia just said, we kind of hit that panic button around the second half of that Eagles game where we just fell apart in the trenches. And I think that this year they saw that, they understood what the problem was, and they're going to find a stopgap to really make sure that doesn't happen again. And we're trying everything and anything in the beginning of the camp, and that's the time to do it,
Yeah. Now's the time to do this, Jacob. That's for darn sure, man. Morgan taking reps at left tackle now with Glover at right guard. So you like to see Morgan taking some snaps at left tackle.
Here's the guy.
Isn't it funny that I think we would all agree that the team seems to be leaning toward just letting Rasheed Walker walk in free agency, no pun intended. But at the same time, who's the guy that's always available? Who's the guy that you never hear about, right? It's did you just say Glover? It's always Walker. Walker is always available. He's always healthy. He's just kind of steady Eddie. And I'm sitting over here going, man, if I'm him, I am playing mad this year, And I understand you can't pay everybody. Like I've talked about the blueprint, the precedent that's been set by this front office, even that really predates Goody. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it just kind of sticks out to me when I see this. It's like, like you said, Belton was nowhere to be found, right? You got Aaron Banks with a back injury. Elton Jenkins got a back injury. Rasheed Walker just over there doing his damn job all the time. You know what I mean, Emilio?
Yeah, absolutely. He's playing to get paid this year, right? It doesn't matter who he's getting paid by. If it's not the Packers, whatever. But if he plays, top 15 left tackle, top 20, whatever, he'll get paid handsomely. And then the Packers would be happy with that because they get a comp pick out of it. So it's kind of a win-win. So he's not playing. It's not hurting him being out there to play. But I do think he's, like you said, going to kind of play mad. Let's get this money for me, myself. I mean, I'll do this for the team, obviously, but I also got to look out for myself.
Yeah, Jake, if you get anything here, Jordan Morgan taking reps at left tackle, you'll never know if he can be a franchise left tackle, which is the position he played in college, unless you get him out there and get him reps, right?
Yeah, that's true. And I believe that Morgan played almost predominantly left tackle basically his whole career. So if there was to be a guy, you guys know, I actually really love Rasheed Walker. I think I've made that pretty clear. I really don't quite understand the glaring need. It seems like that they want to replace him. If it was me at, in the front office, and thank God it's not, but if it was me, I would have been very content with Walker, and I probably would have thrown a lot of draft capital in other places. But that's me. And again, I obviously it's because I think he's very, very passable and very serviceable as a passing tackle. I think that there's something about this team that makes it clear that they want to get bigger, bulkier, and be more of a road grading type run. Or I said multifaceted type offensive line, and maybe they just don't see that in Walker's repertoire. So
yeah,
I kind of understand what they're doing.
As Ron Sample says here too, save $20 million on Jenkins and Walker is cheaper. Not saying to do it, but it's an option. We kind of talked about it last night, right, Ron? I could see that playing out. Emilio, I know you've been out of town, and get your take on this. What if the plan is let Rasheed Walker play this year out, right? And as you get a little deeper into the season, maybe you do want to extend him if you feel like, okay, this dude is just too valuable for us to let him go, and you don't give Elton Jenkins any more guaranteed money. You just cut Elton Jenkins loose next year, free up $20 million in cap space, and maybe you can get Rasheed Walker for 10 to 12, maybe $13 million per. That would make a lot of sense too, right?
Yeah, I think that's possible. The other thought I was kind of thinking here was kind of what Bundy was saying. Look at the deal we just got with Tom. I'd be interested to see what Walker expects to get paid. Maybe to kind of tie all that together, they paid Zach Tom this. Walker stays here to get paid what compared to what Zach Tom just got paid, who's been here, been steady Eddie.
Right.
Walker hasn't been completely that. Let's see where it gets to. I think that's a complete possibility. We're able to kind of move some money around. It sucks for Elton, right? If they're not going to get that done, but it's kind of the business we have. If we have a lot of young talent, you would think that Goody and the squad would lean on the young talent, pay him get a couple years under him and keep moving forward instead of chasing the older talent.
Yeah, Joseph in the chat says Walker needs to clean up the pre-snap penalties and get more physical in the run. I agree with that. Coach Lynn says left tackle has to be able to pass block first and foremost, in my opinion. Completely agree, Coach. That's the top priority. Any position across the offensive line, history dictates that the Packers have always prioritized pass blocking over run blocking. However, we have to mention the only thing keeping Rasheed Walker from being a top 5 left tackle in the game is his run blocking. Pass blocking is just as good as anybody, to be honest with you. So, all right, let's move it along here. Next thing here, we've seen a little bit of a Tay Wicks sighting. And listen, this is just, I know, routes on air and everything, but it sounds like he had a decent practice too. But shout out to Matt Schneidman for putting this tweet out here. You see our boy Dontavion Wicks working. I think Jason Wilde said that he had a good conversation with Wicks. And you guys go follow Jason, and I'm sure he'll write an article on Channel 3000. Make sure you give that a click and a view and show him some love over there. But I think he said when talking to Dontavion Wicks, Jacob, that he said he got kind of caught up in reading the press clippings last year. Not like, hey, I've arrived, but he said he found himself counting snaps and all those things that players go through. Like when you're looking at practice reps, you're looking at game day reps, kind of like what Romeo Doubs went through last year, And we know Matt LaFleur loves wide receiver by committee, but I don't know, man. I'm still holding out hope that Dontavion Wicks is going to return back to his rookie form. What do you think, Jacob? How you feel about Wicks here going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, that going into this season that obviously the front office didn't care if we had a bunch of quote unquote playmakers. They wanted to throw 2 more guys in the mix and just say, you guys go and compete. And, I actually watched an interview with Matthew Golden and with Jordan Reed and how they, not Jordan Reed, Jayden Reed, how they just kind of have embraced that and realized that, hey, we weren't good last year. We weren't perfect by any means. We had a lot of things to clean up. He talked about how the whole wide receiver room as a whole kind of took that, not personally, but understood the assignment and have kind of, manned up in a sort of terms and just decided that we're not going to sit here and sulk about it. And it is good to hear him talk about that because it makes sense that he maybe would have been something in his head. We could see that there was a drastic, decline from what we've seen from Dontavion Wicks in prior year, just what we've seen from the way that he can have a ceiling. I really do think that when he's firing on all cylinders, he can be a really, really good offensive weapon in this league in multiple facets. The way he runs his routes, you see how clean that is, how effortless it is. I mean, there was talks, early in his career, how he was having route running ability like Devontae Adams, you know what I mean? And that's very high praise for a guy to just get out of college, especially a guy, if you guys remember, that didn't necessarily want to be a football player. He was more into basketball, if I'm not mistaken, and then kind of made the late turn in his career that he realized that the way he's going to go pro is in football. So it's a little bit of a slump maybe coming into that this last year, but I think that he is more dedicated to come around and turn that around. And I'm excited because this year, I mean, we have so many weapons, man. Which one are you going to stop?
Right. This dime piece here from Jordan Love too, man. That's a short drop. He just lets that thing rip, too.
I'm glad you said that, Clay, because I've just been sitting here staring at it. That's a 20-yard out route starting. Wicks is starting inside the numbers, running a 20-yard out. Jordan lets it go basically at the top of his stem, and it's a dot right at 20 and a half yards, drops it right there on the sideline.
The beautiful throw, man. Beautiful
throw. What an absolute ball. Then Emmanuel Wilson there with a little dot right there in the running back training there at the beginning of the shot.
Yeah. Look in the background, too. I think that's Matthew Golden way back here in the background. Watch a leaping grab right there. Look like him. He looks so twitchy. I'm excited about Golden. The closer we get to the first time seeing him on the field against, I'm looking forward to the joint practices. That's what I really want to see Matthew Golden stack up against other opponents there. Coach Lynn says Wicks needs to keep stacking practices. Good start to camp. 2-0 for this says people who've been writing off Wicks are going to learn to. I love it. Love that energy. Derek K pointed out Devontae Adams took 3 years. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday. There were fans after year 2 screaming, cut Devontae Adams. You're talking about a Hall of Fame wide receiver now. So you got to be careful with that stuff. Clint, armchair quarterback, said that Love has time to throw with all these receivers. Watch out. Coach Flynn, the hype for Wicks last summer was real. No hours to beat. No, what's it say? No what?
No hours gets to be a sleeper.
Yeah, I think I'm too drunk to taste that chicken. I'm sure I'm just misunderstanding what he's trying to say there, but yeah, I think Wicks is going to be a solid player, man. I do. I think I'm holding out hope to this year that he's going to be a lot better shape than he was last year in terms of the drops. Now, Wes Hikowitz tweeted this out: Matthew Golden end around, check. Malik Willis read option keeper, check. Golden catch off motion, check. So they're starting to use Matthew Golden in the motion sets, right? And you guys know when we did Chalk Talk and broke that down, Matthew Golden's tape from Texas, a lot of moving Z, a lot of end around stuff there. I mean, they used him basically the same way that we use Jaden Reed, and people say, okay, he's a slot. Nope. You're not. If you think that Jaden Reed is just a slot receiver, you're not paying attention. Like it's a moving Z. Greg Cosell talks about it a lot. These guys have got to be able to play outside. They got to play inside. They got to understand all the choice routes, no matter if they're lined up on the right, on the left. You got to be ready to take a touch pass, and end around. Oh, by the way, the zipper boomerang motion, everything. It looks like they're really starting to dabble with Matthew Golden and getting him pretty deep into the playbook, Emilio.
Yeah, Matt was talking about that, right? The more people, he said, obviously you wish everybody can do it, but they were asking, specifically if we're going to get Matt Golden more involved in that. Yeah, obviously, if we can do that, if he can do that, that's going to keep the team guessing, the defense guessing a lot more, being able to move him around, do the same thing with Jaden Reed, rotate them in and out. You don't know who's going to get the ball. Imagine two separate motions. Reed does an orbit, resets, then you get Matthew Golden on a jet across or something like that. You can really get it, crazy. Matt must have been playing a little college football, Clayton, because I'm telling you, it's like, you remember that whip route that Devontae had on the goal line where he kind of comes in motion, gets a quick set and back. It's just getting your feet moving before the play starts. How is that not a benefit to, one of your top receivers or anybody with that kind of speed and twitch?
Yeah, you would cheat. He would cheat from slot right, back to the two left. So as he's going across, you're getting them kind of their momentum going outside, and then he cuts inside, and now they got to redirect, and now he's redirecting on the whip route. That's just
so nice. Yep.
Yeah, good luck. You have a better chance of pulling a butt cheek than getting that route covered for sure. All right, up next, this was our buddy Wes Hikowitz who tweeted this out as well. And, we showed you Wicks on the routes on air and all that. Well, Packers restacked the number 1 2-minute drill, and Love hits Wicks on a deep crosser for 49-yard touchdown. So you're seeing Wicks show up time and time again here on the updates. Like I said, really, really excited about what Tay Wicks is going to do. Now, the last one on the offensive side of the ball, it's really special teams, but, hey, it's leading to points, so let's talk about it. Can we just take a brief second and show appreciation for the fact that we got Brandon McManus? He's now 15 of 15 during 2 open practices, 9 for 9 today. This was from Matt Schneidman. On his 34th birthday, he had makes from 33, 33, 38, 40, 41, 41, 43, 44, 46, 46, 46, 48, 51, 51, and 56. That sounds like the age grouping on Jacob's last 5 dates there. I'm so excited that our boy Brandon McManus is a Green Bay Packer. And we get him, on a 3-year deal? Wasn't that what the extension was, a 3-year extension?
Yep.
I'm going to double check. What do you think about these makes here, man? Does this not make you just breathe easy when knowing that if a drive stalls, you're just about going to slam dunk, get 3 points?
Yeah, I think that we're missing out on a little bit of the kicker talk payments that we had last year, but I'm happy for it, honestly, Clay, because this is all we were waiting for last year, right? We wanted it to be Anders. It wasn't. We wanted it to be I honestly can't even remember everybody else we had. I feel like it was just a flurry of kickers that just didn't end up working out. Let's go get the kicker that, we know we need, kicked in big situations, and, look at this consistency. Basically just started walking them back, keep going, keep going, keep going. Let's see what you can do. Move them hash and hash. I love that on a 34th birthday, happy birthday. Let's get it this year. In the fact that he hit a walk-off in his first game, the dude does have ice in his veins. I mean, that's a key to being a kicker. You can't get shook. Yeah.
Clint, the armchair quarterback, gifting 10 Packers Total Access memberships. Thank you so much, Clint. Appreciate you. So 10 random people in the chat will be entered into the giveaway that we're going to be doing this week, and probably on Sunday night show, we're going to be giving away an autographed Dontavion Wicks rookie card. Really, really cool piece of memorabilia that was donated from our good friend Rick Kruger, a listener of the show. So if you want to enter yourself into that, either hit that join tab here on YouTube and join as a member here on the YouTube page, or what I recommend is go to Patreon, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, and $3 get you access to everything in the Patreon group and also get you entered into the giveaways. Also, Jacob I hate that I keep saying his internet has nothing to do with his internet. His internet's faster than mine. It's StreamYard that keeps glitching out. So he's heading up our fantasy league. So again, if you guys were in the fantasy league last year, the midnight Sunday is the cutoff. Make sure you go answer that email and get entered back into the fantasy football league. If not, we got a bunch of people lined up that wants to join from our Patreon group. Just another perk of being in the Patreon group. So again, that's patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Clint, thank you for that donation and gifting those 10 memberships here on YouTube as well. So, all right, let's shift gears and move over to the defensive side of the ball. Unless you got anything else on offense, Emilio, anything else you want to hit on offense, bro?
No, just you guys have been talking a lot about Glover since I've been gone, so I'm just glad he's
all filled up. Love it. All right, Mr. G himself, Tim, was in house today, and of course, he was just hovering on the defensive side of the practice here, Emilio. You can't run him off of that side. He said, I love watching Coach Covington work with this group, training camp 2025, go Pack Go. As you see here, Gary right there, you see LVN working with the teammate as well. I'm really, really excited to see what Coach Covington does, and he seems very hands-on. I mean, you see him going right down the line, working with everybody. We showed a clip on yesterday's show, Emilio, while you were out. That was Coach Covington working one-on-one with Rashawn Gary. No one else around, just him working with Gary. I think this is going to pay big dividends here with this defensive line. And here's what's awesome. You now got a guy with defensive coordinator experience, right? He was a DC for 1 year in New England. You've also got Derek Ansley, former defensive coordinator out in L.A., right? Jeff Hafley obviously is your defensive coordinator now. You've got all this DC experience on the entire staff. I mean, now we got Nathaniel Hackett back, and he's actually working with the defense, although he's doing it from an offensive-minded, coach's perspective. But I don't know, man. This is probably going to be one of those hires we look up in 3 to 5 years and go, thank God we got DeMarcus Cousins.
Right. Absolutely. And look at the drill. I mean, he's not stuck in one spot. He literally started with Rashawn. Let's move down to the next one with LVN. Let's move down. And he's engaged. Absolutely, trying to make a difference in these players. And that's what we want to see. We want this D-line to take off. We need to get pressure with 4 this year. We need to be able to rely on that instead of always having to go that sim pressure look. I think that we can do it this year. I think he's going to kind of bring that mentality, that drive. And, let's see what that front can do. I think we've got a lot of skill there. It just really needs to show up for us.
Yeah. And then Tim got another shot here of the defensive line group working together. I'm trying to get muted here before we hear language. And you can see this is all about getting the hands up, right? The hands up drill. So you'll see them engage and then focus on batting those passes down. I'm telling you, man, it's little things like this that makes a real difference on the defensive side of the ball. Everybody just wants these defensive linemen to pin their ears back and just go after the quarterback. But we've seen last year, man, really staying gap sound. That's how you go to the second best run defense in the league in terms of yards per carry allowed. And then little things like this, taking away the throwing lanes. I know you've been playing college football this year, Emilio. I'm telling you, man, you got to start scouting those quarterbacks that are 6'3" and taller because they got that new feature in there that the throwing lanes matter.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've been getting stuffed. Stop
recruiting those 5'8" quarterbacks.
5'11" pure runners, Clay. That's all I have on the board. 4 stars.
I got statues back there, bro. My guys, they're slower than molasses before they can get through the throwing lanes.
No, I'm telling you that's a problem. You don't think about it. You just want to hit a little mesh concept. You just want to hit a little crosser over the middle, and it could be on your alignment being a little late. You don't get that punch to the stomach, but just a little bit of vertical, block that line, whatever. If you can't get there, get your hands up. That's always a rule. I love that we're working on it. I honestly haven't even really seen that, kind of drill before. I love that Tim got that on film because that's just, maybe one little thing that he could have added, a different drill, a different thought, a different process that can just benefit this team.
Yeah, and this is something that it's kind of Bill Belichick-ian.
Yeah,
I remember I studied Belichick for a long time. Like after they won the third or fourth Super Bowl, I'm like, okay, any kind of content that's about the Patriots, me as a Packers fan, I'm going to go and listen to it, watch it, because I want to pick up on what are they doing to be so dominant in the National Football League. One of the things that he is really, really known for, Bill Belichick, is the find the ball drill, right, for DBs. They would work on it at the end of every practice, would throw the ball up in coverage and allow the DBs had to have their back to the ball when the ball goes in the air, and then they had to turn and find the ball while it was in the air. And the reason they would do that is because they played a lot of man coverage. I'm just saying that's one thing. I'm sure every team practices that, but it was notorious on Bill Belichick's defenses that they would focus on that back to the ball, find the ball drill. And when I seen Coach Covington doing this hands-up drill on the sleds, it made me think, attention to detail, man. Attention to detail, and that's what comes from Bill Belichick style defenses and coaches here. But Jacob, I know we got you back, man. You looking clean now, looking smooth here, brother. You missed the best joke I dropped on you earlier, man.
I heard it. I heard it.
Just the last 5 or the average of your last dates there. But
Sure.
Anyway, what do you think about this? It's pretty cool that Coach Covington got these guys out here working on hands up drills. Tim finding the gems at practice, man.
Yeah, I think it's actually already showing that he's getting results, because if I'm not mistaken, in the last couple of practices, we saw defensive linemen tipping up balls and linebackers tipping balls and leading to interceptions. And I love it, man. I feel like Covington is a complete step in the opposite direction of the last coach that we had. And I think that was a little bit of a liability for sure. I know for sure the beginning half of the season, I was just really disappointed with the defensive line play, especially because we seem like, you guys know how much I love Brenton Cox Jr., how much I love Gary, how much I love LVN. But I really feel like we just did not get anywhere near their potential out of them last year. And it was a shame. And then all of a sudden towards the back end of the season, I don't know what they did, if they just said, all right, guys, go out and just, be yourselves kind of thing. They obviously performed way better. Ryan had a podcast where it showed about how great they were. They were actually very, very impressive. Some of them in the 18-17% pressure rate type stuff. Yep. So I have a very, very much, I'm very hopeful for this group, especially with the subtle additions that we made. We talked about yesterday with Brinson and Stackhouse. I mean, God, that's a big man that can move very quickly. I'm just very excited.
How about this name right here, as Wes Hodkiewicz tweeted out? Good rush from Sorrell on the weak side, and defensive front nearly forced a Malik Willis interception. Anderson couldn't bring it in. So pressure pick, coverage sack, Baron Sorrell now starting to get his name heard here on the practice field. That's a guy that it's like I'm such a stick in the mud, as Mandy refers to me as, but it's such a feel-good story from the draft that I'm trying not to buy into the hype. I keep reminding myself, Clayton, he's a 4th-round pick. He's a 4th-round pick. He's a 4th-round pick. But then I got to remind myself, Evan Williams was a 4th-round pick. Zach Tom was a 4th-round pick. Why am I, you know what I mean? Why am I curbing the enthusiasm? This dude could end up being a stud, man. And
absolutely,
these are the things you want to look for in the joint practices and the preseason game. You know how exciting it's going to be to see 99 out there rushing off the edge in a preseason game, dude?
Dude, awesome. and that those are the reps that we're going to get. That's when we're going to really be able to see him. How much are you actually going to see him, in season? We don't know that yet. You're going to kind of lean on playing time to the veterans at first. So let's see what he can do in the preseason game. That's when we're really going to get, a good breakdown of these guys. We'll probably end up, doing a little cut up or something of all their plays. I'm sure we'll get into something like that of the preseason, but I think that it's going to be good to kind of go back and look. All right, what did we get out of these draft picks? What are we going to get? What are they going to bring to this team? Starting from, round 1 to round 7. So let's, I am really excited about what he can add to that D-line. I think that we need to, like I said, take off with that front 4 this year.
Yeah, Coach Lynn says that's the second day in a row that Sorrell has flashed. Ron Samuel says Sorrell's going to shine when the pads come on. Tony Holman in the chat says I'm pulling for Sorrell. I love what Ron said there. Sorrell's going to shine when the pads come on. Jacob, it does kind of feel like Sorrell's built for the pads. Some of these guys, like I'm eager to see Matthew Golden in pads and I think they're going full pad on Sunday. So we'll try to do a live stream during that practice. Maybe the back half of the practice so we can give you the guys the remaining updates as they come in type thing. That would be a lot of fun. But, Jacob, what do you think about Sorrell, man? again, he's already starting to make some waves here in training camp.
Yep, just like with UDFAs, just like with seventh rounders, just like with anything rookies that people don't expect to come in and make a big splash. I, for some reason, just have high hopes that he is going to come here. Like Tony said, he's pulling for Sorrell. Sorrell's got junk in the trunk. Chris, the casual end. What are you talking about there?
Nice.
I really do think too, like Jen Wright saying, he'll be the best 99 ever. I love
Heard
the
it from
fact
a
that
fan right here.
that he's rocking that number there. He just doesn't seem like much like we talked about with Golden, how the situation right now doesn't seem too much for him. I think Sorrell is kind of in that same vein where he's getting a lot of tutelage. He's getting a lot of people that are kind of guiding him in the right way, how to be a pro, how to do things your first season. And if he can come in and contribute even just a little bit, I don't really think he's going to get the type of snaps that maybe, that he'd want to get maybe his first year, because he's got such a great rotation in front of him with guys like obviously Gary LVN, Cox. But if he can even get maybe 15% of the snaps and make those 15% count, that's going to really, really step him into next year. And who knows, if he makes the most out of those snaps and he really is flashing, I'm excited to watch him in the preseason completely. Like, I really do think that if he does make a name for himself, that's just, think about if we've got a guy like that wrapped up for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And if he is, the emotions that he showed, like you said, it's hard for him not to be a fan favorite. The way that just the whole, it almost felt scripted. And I'm not saying it was.
It really did.
So it was so perfect that it almost like, I'm such a conspiracy nut that I'm like, what are you doing? But I felt completely in love with Sorrell that day. So it reminded me very much. You guys remember when Rashawn Gary got drafted and he was just showing so much emotion? Literally
like a baby,
all of his eyes out. I got a lot of that vibe from him as well, and it just was. It's so cool to see a player